in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Pro.
Andre the Giant.
Gonna get his licks in on the bruiser. Hulk Hogan.
Number one, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
His opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Welcome in to Retro Wrestling Rewind, episode number 21, folks. Yes, that's right, folks. We have hit the legal drinking age in most states. How does it feel to be 21 again, Alex G?
Well, since I barely remember my last 21st birthday, this feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, and I'm, in the next 6 episodes that we're going to be rolling out, I'm going to be emphasizing this a lot, folks. We are less than 50 days away from WrestleCon 2019 in New York, Midtown Manhattan. I mean, folks, if you haven't gone to WrestleCon.com and looked at the superstars that they have, they're not even finished. I mean, Bret Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels is going to be there, Jerry the King Lawler is going to be there. And the latest indie darling, well, actually, she's not new. I've known her for a while, and she's worked in. She actually was on one of the other shows that I work on that I do a while back. Priscilla Kelly's going to be there. The whole tampon thing. So
are you going to get her to autograph a tampon for you?
Well, maybe. But did you hear that her husband may have signed with AEW? So. Darby Allin. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a weird wrestler, nice guy, but weird wrestler. But
I've seen him wrestle on Evolve show up here.
Yeah, he's great. But I mean, we were talking off air. I mean, this place is going to be jam packed with wrestling fans, with wrestlers. I mean, I've been told by the powers that be that run WrestleCon who are actually going to. I'm actually sitting down, and I've actually sat down and interviewed the head muckety muck of WrestleCon. That interview is going to be up on the feed in a couple of days. He says that we are only the Beyond the Ropes, the Retro Wrestling Rewind is one of only 3 media outlets, podcasts that are going to be there. The only one that are going to be broadcasting live is Sirius XM's Busted Open. They're on 9 to 11 on the channel. I think 82. One of those channels, 93. It's a great show. They have Mark Henry on there. They have Tommy Dreamer. It's a great show, but I kind of feel, kind of not privileged, but he was like, hey, you're going to have access to all these wrestlers. If they want to talk to you, then we can. I mean, we're almost 99% going to be talking to the franchise Shane Douglas. It's going to be an interesting interview, but yeah, come by our booth. Don't know the booth number yet. They haven't been chosen as of this taping, but trust me, we're going to tweet it out. We're going to be, we're going to be having a giveaway, a merch giveaway, a gift basket, if you will, as Dusty Rhodes would say, full of vintage stuff, old compilation tapes, old magazines, old this, old that. I mean, it's you have to come to WrestleCon. I mean, you've been to a couple WrestleCons. I mean, this one sounds like it could be pretty good.
I'm curious about meeting Sonny Ono and Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah,
because that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, if I can meet Sonny Ono, that would be great. I mean, there's gonna be Lex.
I want to call him Sonny Bono, like Dusty used to.
Yeah, I mean, Tully's gonna be there. JJ's gonna be there, putting people to sleep with this podcast. Bill Apner's gonna be there. He's hopefully, I've been in contact with him. He's a nice guy. We're good friends, but every time I try to talk to him on text or Facebook, he's like, I'm driving. I'm like, well, then don't answer the Facebook or text. But I mean,
you know what really stands out versus other conventions I've been to is the amount of international talent.
Yeah.
So we have, a lot of Japanese wrestlers. Again, don't forget that New Japan guys are coming in for the Ring of Honor show. So, there could be some New Japan guys there. In addition, we got some guys from Mexico. And we got Tajiri's in, which is nice to see. Otani's in. Onita's in. Those are guys who don't really do conventions like that. So I'm really, really excited to get an opportunity to take a picture and get an autograph from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. It's gonna be fun. I mean, it's 2 days. I mean, it's gonna bleed over into tonight because they have wrestling. They have the pancakes and pile drivers with Sammy Callahan on Saturday at 11. They have U.S. versus the World. That's on. Is that Friday night? Yeah,
I think that's Friday, and then they have the super card, which is Thursday.
Yeah. It's
and then you have your favorite event, the penis party. I know you'll be attending, sitting in front of.
I mean, if they say, "Hey, David Fine, you want to come ring announce for the penis party?" Hey,
I've been to a couple of penis parties in my back in college, but it's a little bit different.
It didn't involve you. Well, I mean, I don't know what college you went to. I mean, there are a lot of those at my college, but I never attended it. But hey, like they say on Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great convention. I mean, we're going to be there. Like I said, we're going to be there Friday. I mean, I won't be there at 9:00 because my flight gets in at LaGuardia at 8:00, and so I'll be there at about 11.
If you're lucky.
and then I'll be going, till the end of the convention at 4, and then be taking the party to the bars and having a good time. And then Saturday 9 to 4, come by our booth. We're going to be having some T-shirts. We're going to be having some magnets. I'm going to be bringing the. Actually, you got a present coming in the mail in a couple of weeks. It's something you drink out of. Kind of a hint. Something you drink hot beverages out of. So it's. I designed something for you. It's we're going to be maybe debuting it at WrestleCon. People can order it. It's going to be fun. But
hey, do you know how Cody and all of them got their signature cigars? I think we should have a Retro Wrestling Rewind 40-ounce of malt liquor that we should be able to support.
I mean, I think we should. I mean, if there's any malt liquor, companies listening to the show, I mean, hey, I'll be passing out the old business cards in New York. I mean, hey, if it can happen in New York, it can happen anywhere. Yeah. Just saying. But it's going to be a fun time. But speaking of back in 1991, 1991, I had just gotten into wrestling as a ring announcer. You were what, in like elementary school? Maybe middle school?
I was 1991. I was 9 years old.
Yeah, and I was 16. So, and anyway, I saw a lot of things in wrestling that a 16-year-old does not need to see. But that's hey,
the referee apparently.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you want to hear those stories, you got to come to the Retro Wrestling Rewind after party at WrestleCon. That's coming later. But yeah, 1991 Halloween Havoc. I mean, the referee cam.
Right off the bat. I just want to start here at the beginning. When we talk about Halloween Havoc, when we talk about Halloween Havoc 89 and 90, those shows are actually really good. And Eric Bischoff always claims that there was a attempt to make Halloween Havoc the premiere show, the new Starrcade, for example. And there's some evidence to suggest that, but there's no evidence to suggest that it was Halloween Havoc that they were trying to push that show to. In my opinion, going back and doing research, and when we do the Starrcade 91, there's more evidence there that they're really pushing not Halloween Havoc like Eric says, but Super Brawl or whatever the March or February pay-per-view is, and you can trace that back all the way back to 1989.
Yeah.
So I know that Halloween Havoc usually does the best of all the shows they do in terms of buy rates, and they always did a really good job in terms of the look of the show. They always have custom graphics. They always did a lot of vignettes and intros for that show. The sets were amazing every year. So I can see what he's saying, but I don't think that's the case based on the cards.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't see that. It was Eric Bischoff. But speaking of Bischoff, he was dressed up in his costume because
this is his debut, I believe. If I'm not, no, it was Bash. Bash 91 was his debut. So he's pretty fresh in from the AWA.
And I know that Missy Hyatt's on the show, and is on
Missy looking all the way live.
But then we were talking off air that she doesn't do many podcasts because people make fun of her. They were making fun of her the entire night. Even Jim Ross was throwing her under the bus. I mean, what's up with that? She's...
You know what's sad is that Missy, if you follow her on Twitter, which I suggest everyone do,
loves wrestling.
She still watches. She watches all brand new stuff, and the stuff that she says is so insightful. She is a wrestling genius, and I think that because of the character she's played for all these years, that she gets overlooked in terms of her intelligence and her ability to kind of make sense when it comes to professional wrestling. She is really insightful. And it's a shame. It's a damn shame that she doesn't have a podcast. Because she'd be schooling motherfuckers left and right.
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to, she needs
Damn
someone.
sure.
If she needs someone to help her do a podcast. I know she lives in Florida, but I mean, Halloween Havoc happened October 27th, 1991. That was 2 days after my birthday. Chattanooga, Tennessee, the UTC Arena, 8,900. So there was less than 9,000. There was less than that.
That's not bad for 91 WCW.
No, I mean, how many do you think were paid, and how many do you think were comped?
I would say they probably got like 6 in their paid.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, it was. I mean, what are your overall thoughts before we go into the show? I mean, what was your overall thoughts of the entire show?
Right away, what sticks out to me is the fact that on paper, this show seems very light. The roster seems very thin. And then I realized that there's 10 guys in this Chamber of Horrors match, and that's why the rest of the show has matches that no one wants to see. And with guys on it, I don't even know who Creature 1 and Creature 2 are. Like, seriously, I don't know. I have no idea. What's Doug Summers doing in 1991 WCW? Like, what is going on?
I mean, according to Wikipedia, Creature 1 was Jumping Joey Max. So
that's his heart.
So
can we say Creature 2 was the Italian Stallion? Can we say that? I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, and I would go back to the Doug Summers. I mean, he freaking lost to Van Hammer. I mean, I guess he really didn't care. I mean, it was Doug Summers in 1991.
They were pushing Van Hammer pretty strong too.
God, I mean, Van fucking Hammer. I mean,
Van Hammer trained the Briscoes at ROH, by the way. Just gonna keep that in mind.
Anyway, let's go into the first match today. I mean, okay, kind of a caveat on your version that you watched, or I don't know if you watched the network and the version that you had, maybe on the VHS or beta video format. What was the first match on your copy?
Well, the first match was the Chambers of Horrors, but then it skips from there. It skips the Big Josh P. News match. It skips Eaton and Taylor, I believe. It skips Kazmaier and Oz. It skips Van Hammer and Doug Summers.
Do they ever come back, or they just kind of?
No, they cut it off the show. You remember these Turner home releases were like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, it was kind of it was kind of like whenever. Did you buy that videotape, The Danger Zone, where you could get the men of the calendar that had Missy Hyatt on it back in like?
I wanted it, and actually, if you go back to the intro to my YouTube channel, which is Retro Wrestling Games, the little signature in the front is taken from that commercial.
Yeah, I mean, and before we get into the show, speaking of your Retro Wrestling video games channel, if people can't get enough of our shenanigans, I mean, I know you have a bunch of shenanigans and tomfoolery on your channel.
Yes, I saved the shenanigans for this show, with the tomfooleries on the YouTube channel.
Is that your co-host, Tomfoolery?
It could be.
But how do people watch it and subscribe and follow you on Twitter?
Well, you want to go to Retro Wrestling Games Presents on YouTube, and we're going to be the top hits. You can subscribe from there. And right now we have 273 videos, right? So most recently, our last video we did was a 1984 project, NWA 1984 project, featuring the main event of the Road Warriors taking on Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. And this is for the National Heavyweight Championship, by the way.
That sounds like a great match.
It sounds weird because I think a lot of people forget that throughout the entire year of 1984 and most of 1985 that Ric Flair was a babyface hanging out with Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Conveniently forgotten due to the narrative. So,
but yeah, I mean, I highly encourage everyone to go over, click on that channel, subscribe, hit that little bell, so every time they put up a new video, you'll get a notification, and your YouTube feed will be blowing up. Because how many videos do you think you put out a month?
I would say somewhere around 20.
Yeah, so that's a couple a week, at least. So I mean, if you want new fresh content, go over to the Retro Wrestling Games YouTube channel.
Like we're doing some new stuff too. Like we have some gameplay of the brand new Spider-Man game that came out for PlayStation 4. I recently got a Super Nintendo Classic for Christmas, so I'm working my way through that as well. And then recently we just reviewed Muscle for the Nintendo, which is an awful game. Don't ever play it. It is crap. But I think most of us, if you grew up in the 80s, you had the Muscle action figures, the little plastic, looks like eraser kind of dolls there.
I didn't play with dolls. So I'd play with wrestling figures.
Yeah, because those LJNs were not dolls.
No, I mean,
no action-oriented things with that at all.
What were the thumb wrestlers, the WWF thumb?
They had thumb wrestlers. You put your thumb up, JYD's butt, and there you go.
But speaking of
shit was gross.
Yeah, speaking of giveaways on your channel, has the contest? It's still going on, or is it already
5 more days? So February 15th. So I did it for 64 days from the day I announced it, because I am giving away a Nintendo 64, a controller, and a copy of No Mercy. Now, all you have to do to get entered into this contest is you subscribe to the channel, you go on Twitter, you like the tweet, you retweet the tweet, and then you send me a DM of a screenshot of you subscribing to the channel, and you'll be entered in to win it. So this will be opened up worldwide. That means I will ship it anywhere in the world.
Worldwide. Yes, except Alabama. But and another thing, that kind of back to our WrestleCon talk. Are you up for? And I have not told you this, but we're going to be doing some live stuff, maybe some live shows, streaming them. But we're going to be doing some Facebook Live, some YouTube Live. We're going to be doing some.
Does it involve me taking off my pants, because that was that one time I was invited to a casting couch, and that didn't go well for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it will involve that, but I mean, we do want to get people to watch it. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, follow us on social media. We're at the RW Rewind. That's our Twitter, our Instagram. That's our website. It's therwrewind.com. Just follow us. There's gonna be so many updates. But getting back to the fine show of Starrcade of Halloween Havoc 1981. We started out with Elegante, Sting, and the Steiner brothers, of course, Rick and Scott. Who, if you didn't know, Scott Steiner is currently in on the school board of Cherokee County here in Georgia. And Rick Steiner, Scott owns a Shoney's in Ackworth, and I should whenever you come down here, whenever that is, we'll go up there and we'll ask them for some ham cubes as they.
I thought you were asking for some hand jobs. And I was like,
whoa, this is Ackworth, not Atlanta. Anyway, Elegante, Sting, and the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, defeated Abdul the Butcher, the Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Big Van Vader. First of all, of course, Abdul the Butcher, he had blood. What was your thought of this match? It was ridiculous.
Who's booking this? I think Dusty's booking. This seems like more of a Ole Henderson fucking idea than a Dusty Rhodes idea for some reason.
But the one thing I don't understand. Okay, you remember seeing the coffins that were in the cage?
That was fun.
I don't understand that. There was some mask guy coming out of it.
Why did Rick Steiner have a chainsaw for no reason?
Yeah, you remember that mask guy coming out, right? Of the cat. Who was that? I mean, what the hell was that? I don't understand.
Oh, I bet you that was Tommy Gunn.
Maybe it could have been Tommy Gunn. It could have been Billy Gunn. It could have been anybody. But I mean, I heard. I mean, according to my sources, the Abdullah the Butcher, it was the ending didn't really go the way they wanted it to.
No, because they broke the thing. So
God.
the switch that Cactus was supposed to, the lever, right? So apparently the lever had fell down into the on position, so he had to put it back up to turn it back on again. Yeah, I mean the whole like they never did this again, and no one's ever tried this ever again. Although we should probably see it on a Joey Janela show at some point.
Yeah.
When they lowered the electric chair down for some odd reason. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
this whole match is a mess. I mean, between that, the referee, the guys in the mask that the Steiners are just shooting on and destroying them. Again, Scott Steiner just came back from an injury too, so this is his first pay-per-view back. I don't know why Elegante's in there. Big Van Vader's half the time in Japan.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just weirdness all around.
And what was the heck with those guys out on the ramp? The guys in all white. I mean, what was their?
It was just bizarre. And I don't there's not a lot of television from this time, so I can't go back and figure out what the reason for this match was. Like, they're doing the stuff where Cactus Jack and Abdullah are going after Sting, right? They're trying to eliminate Sting. And the rest of this, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I'd say
I mean, this is worse than spin the wheel, make the deal. So
yeah, probably. I mean, but I mean that match was terrible. Second match had my favorite wrestler, Big Joss, and primetime PN News defeated the Creatures number 1 and number 2 in 5 minutes and 16 seconds. I mean, come on, PN News, Big Josh, the Creatures.
you know what? Not for nothing. Going back, PN News was over, man. I don't know why he was over. He's a terrible wrestler, and his gimmick, like, it's 1991, and if you listen to rap music or hip hop, you can tell that he was still stuck in 1985 in terms of rap music. So it seemed really odd. And Big Josh, who was Matt Bourne, who later became Doink, fantastic wrestler, by the way. I don't know why he has this gimmick. I don't know why he was Tommy Rich's special friend when he came in. That stuff was all bizarre to me because Matt Bourne is it's a hell of a worker. I don't know what the hell they were thinking here. And then putting these two guys, you have a lumberjack and a rap guy together, that seems odd.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. I mean it's a terrible idea. I mean I don't know who was booking this shit. It was Dusty.
It's Dusty.
I mean it's got to be Dusty, but I mean it was the second match of the night. I mean the next match I actually thought was really good. I'm a big Bobby Eaton mark. He defeated Terrence Taylor of the York Foundation in 16 minutes. It was actually besides the Lex Luger Ron Simmons match, it was the second highest, as the time of the match. I mean, what are your thoughts on Bobby as a singles wrestler?
I think at this point in Bobby's career, they were doing this really cool thing with the TV title, and they had like 4 guys feuding for the TV title. So it was Bobby Eaton, Terry Taylor, Arn Anderson, and then out of kind of nowhere, like Steve Austin comes in and wins the belt. So these guys kind of left holding the bag. They've been having this 4-way feud with Z-Man and all them together for like 6 months, and then Steve Austin comes in and wins the belt, and now these guys are like feuding with each other, but there's no belt on the line anymore. But I think Bobby in general, again, it's Bobby. Bobby's a fantastic worker. It's like, he probably needed a manager here. He should never be a babyface, that's for sure. But I think the crowd, he was there for so long, but the crowd just, they love Bobby. From what I understand, he's like one of the nicest guys in the history of wrestling. So,
yeah, I mean, I think someone tried to. I heard someone try to like bait him into saying something bad about someone else, and he wouldn't say anything bad about anybody. He's like one of those nice guys. It's like people you work with. I mean, they could be super nice or super assholes, and I guess he's super nice.
What do you thought about the whole going from Terry Taylor to Terrence Taylor, like this? The computer age man of the 1990s kind of gimmick here.
It was terrible. I mean, he's still Terry Taylor. I mean, he's still a terrible wrestler. I mean, he's no Sam.
I like Terry as a human being, maybe not so much, but as a professional wrestler, and like he was good in Mid-South, right?
I mean, he's no Sam Houston.
Oh, he's awful. Where's Sam Houston here in 91? 91, I heard he's global. I don't know where he's at.
I heard he's going to be at WrestleCon soon.
Is he?
Probably, I mean.
He's going to be there with Baby Doll. Make sure you bring that up to her when you talk to her. Like, you can talk about their messy divorce and stuff.
No. You'll say that. No. That'll be the one time you have to go use a restroom. You'll be like, hey, why don't you interview him? I'm going to go use a restroom. Mention that, and I'll be in jail.
But I think Terry Taylor, 1991 Terry Taylor at this point, I think this is the best Terry Taylor that we're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, he is a computerized man of the 1990s, and he does have a really, really good-looking manager, Alexander York. So, man,
looking very 1987 and 1991. By the way,
yeah, I mean that.
I don't hate it, but she looks very 1987.
Yeah, it's
like Wolf of Wall Street style. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby as a singles, I think he's better as a tag team, but he holds his own as a singles wrestler. I mean, he definitely is not a. I don't remember many times him actually, doing any promos or saying anything, but I know that one time back in mid '80s, it was at the TBS station or TBS show where I guess he got jumped by the Horseman or somebody. I don't know who it was, but he did the hell of a good promo. But he doesn't talk very much. But he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's Huntsville's prodigal son. So I mean, yeah.
He might be the best tag team wrestler of all time. Yeah. Just going through the tag teams that he was involved in.
Yeah.
Like he had a really good team with Steven Regal too, when the Blue Bloods. Like if you go back and watch like Memphis, Bobby Eaton, that's really good. Obviously the stuff he did with the Midnights would be World Class, Mid-South, or Crockett, they're all really good. He teamed up with Arn Anderson when they were in Dangerous Alliance. That was really good. So, he might be, definitely top 3 tag team wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I mean, he is definitely up there. I mean, had some great feuds with Rock and Roll. I mean, he's pretty good. But I mean, that was a great match. But a match that, I mean, it was. Michael Hayes was supposed to be hurt, so of course he was supposed to tag with Jimmy Garvin. Jimmy Garvin takes on
Who's
Johnny
the heels here? I don't know who the heels were.
I mean, Johnny B. Bad's supposed to be heel. Jimmy Garvin's doing heel tendencies. I don't understand. I mean, and Johnny B. Bad.
Jimmy looked old in this fucking match too.
And Mark Marrow. I'm sorry, Johnny B. Bad. Look, I mean, he just looks so. I mean, I can't say what he
gets like. Better. He gets better. By 1995, he's actually a pretty decent worker. 1991, not so much. I
mean, I think at the beginning of his Johnny B. Bad run, he had the more Little Richard look, but he kind of
toned that down. They
kind of really toned it down. They toned it down, so he's actually a good wrestler. But I mean, what are your thoughts on this match? I mean, he beat Jimmy Jam Garvin singles match. It was 8 minutes, 16 seconds.
I don't know what they were trying to do here. Again, this whole card is just a bunch of kind of thrown together. Matches.
Yeah,
just like what are you doing? Like I appreciate the fact that Garvin put over Johnny Bad because he's someone that he's a star for the future, and the Freebirds are not stars of the future; they're stars of the past. So it's really, really I think it's appropriate that I would have gave Johnny Bad the win here. I wouldn't even had the match, but that's a whole other story though.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean,
was it? I think it was supposed to be Hayes though. It was supposed to be Hayes and Johnny B. Bad. I think Jimmy's a substitution for that.
Yeah, and of course during the end of the match his sling came off and Jim Ross said, "Oh, I guess he's not hurt." This next match, I mean,
like who was the heels?
And Johnny B. Bad, Jimmy Garvin,
They're not rock stars.
Yes, they are. They are freaking rock stars.
They had one rock song and another really bad.
And if I ever meet any of them, I will say they are fucking rock stars because they are. But that's my opinion.
Did you buy Michael Hayes' Christian album?
No.
Okay then.
No. But if this next guy put out a Christian album, it'd probably be a big hit. Stunning.
Lady Blossom.
Yes, Steve Austin. He's a world TV champion with the Lady Blossom.
It was a bosom. I heard that.
Taking on the natural Dustin Rhodes. Ended in a time limit draw when Dustin tried to pin him and they got the 1-2 and almost the 3
This is the best
belt.
match on the card, by the way, number 1. Number 2, Steve Austin definitely has a type when it comes to his women because they all look scaredly alike.
I mean, what are your thoughts on time limit draws? I mean, does it give the fans what they want? Or is it just kind of just, I mean, if it's a good match, yeah, but this is a really good match. I mean, most time limit draws are, between maybe guys that aren't very good. But this match is actually really good.
You have Austin who is on the come up. There's someone they want to push down the road, right? You have Dustin Rhodes who, I know a lot of people gave him shit in 1991, but he's as close to the natural as any wrestler on the face of the earth. Like, he was good, like, real quick and right away. When it comes to this match, it's like, what are you going to do? Because someone has to lose here. I wouldn't even book the match. But, you have guys that you both want to push up the card. How do you save these guys from not getting beat, on pay-per-views that he goes in the draw? And the match was good enough. So it's like, no one really loses here. And they kind of just move apart anyway because Dustin starts teaming up with Barry Windham pretty soon. So,
yeah, I mean, it's I mean, Dustin back then was, I mean, really, I mean,
he was fantastic. There's some matches in like '89 that you can watch with Dustin when he looks kind of terrible, but other than that, he's been good for going on 30 years.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean he's been the same gimmick for what? How many years has he been Goldust?
since '95.
So he's been doing that same gimmick forever. I mean, it's just, it's,
I would
it's
give him
one.
a run at this point. Not to go into modern wrestling, but as Dustin Rhodes, as the Natural, I would give him a couple of months run as the world champion.
Yeah, and then kind of just end his career like that and just let
Yeah.
him, because he doesn't wrestle as much anymore. He's more backstage, kind of.
He's like a sheriff now. He does sheriff stuff.
He's a sheriff.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
That's cool. But speaking of something that's not cool, the world's strongest man, Bill Kazmaier, defeated
Bill Kazmaier
Oz.
was legitimately the world's strongest man for a while.
Defeated Oz, of course. You
Your
know who?
favorite wrestler.
He was my
Kevin
favorite
Nash?
wrestler, Kevin Nash. I mean, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, they were both in this show, but as different gimmicks. I mean, I'll give it to WCW. They had a lot of the early guys like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. I mean, they had a lot of the up and coming stars that weren't really anything there. But then they went to the WWF.
Won the Monday Night War with WCW's mid card from like '92.
Yeah,
That's the reality of the situation here.
yeah.
Bill Kazmaier, awful wrestler, nice guy from what I understand. And Kevin Nash was doing his best, but he's fucking green as shit anyway. He's like 2 years in the business at this point.
And he was literally wearing green. So
Yeah, it's like they spent a lot of money on that Oz gimmick, and he was Oz for a while since Super Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, it's just awful match.
it's an awful match. And speaking of, awful match going into a even worse match, Doug Summers, who's back then probably about 100, he lost to the man who they were fucking trying to push. I don't understand this. They were trying to push Heavy Metal Van Hammer
For a long time.
They should have pushed it. They should have pushed him off a cliff. I mean, he was terrible. I mean,
He did decent slingshot suplex.
yes. I mean, so couldn't a lot of people.
Okay,
but
what do you do with a guy like Van Hammer? Like,
not book him.
you're just gonna fire him.
No, but didn't.
So what do you do with them? It's like guys like that, guys like Nash, guys like Van Hammer, guys like Elegante. Those type of guys, Great Khali. Those guys are main event or bust. So, like, what do? You got to push them.
Yeah, I guess
Getting a win over Doug Summers doesn't hurt anybody.
I am
Doug Summers.
I am glad that he did not ever win a title.
He wasn't part of the 6-man champions at one point.
I mean, he may have. I mean, click on his bio. He may have been.
No, usually when they have championships and accomplishments, he has no championships ever.
How long did he wrestle for?
I mean, he was there. He was there from '91 to the end of WCW. So, because he was in Misfits in Action in 2000, so he was there for 9 years.
Oh man, he was.
They tried it. He had a good look, though. I mean, he looked like you could do something with him.
I mean, I guess I don't know who he had something on, but God, he got pushed to. I don't know. Anyway, but that's beside the point. I mean, it's a terrible match. I mean, Van Hammer, Doug Summers. I mean, Doug Summers was better in like the 1980s. I mean, he's been at this point he had been wrestling forever. I mean, I remember seeing him back in the early 80s, in Georgia. So I mean, he's a guy I know. And speaking of, I mean, this next match was, I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, it was for the first match. It was for the inaugural light heavyweight championship. Flying Brian Pillman defeated Richard Morton with the great Alexander York of the York Foundation. Your thoughts on this match?
You see why Pillman's so good here. Like,
Yeah.
I love this era. Like, pre car accident, Brian Pillman is fucking fantastic, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Like, he would get pushes, and then they would stop pushing him for a while, and then they would push him again, and then they would cut his push short for whatever reason, and I have no idea why. I blame Ole Anderson.
You blame Ole Anderson?
That's yeah. I mean, it's like, because anytime Flair has the book, he pushes him pretty strong.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
What was your thought on Richard Morton turning heel and becoming not a part of the Rock and Roll Express and being a corporate Richard Morton?
he looked just the same. I mean, he had the same kind of tights on with his tassels and, the tassels, the pants he would use to as I forgot who it was back in
Like
the mid '80s.
he just didn't get new gear.
No, he did.
He had a gimmick
no.
change. He turned heel, and they didn't change his gear, so he looked
No.
like Rock and Roll Express Ricky Morton,
Yeah.
but just as a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same ties he wore in the '80s. I mean, kind of like Ric Flair used to say that, Ric Flair goes after women who were, who are over 18. The Rock and Roll Express go for the teen boppers. I mean, he was not a good heel. He is not a good heel. I mean,
Like, it made sense to do because if you're going to split up the Rock and Roll because they've been together forever at this point. It is 1991. Much like they should have broken up the Road Warriors at some point, you're going to have to break them up, and they're going to have to feud against each other, which eventually they did. But yeah, I don't think people were ready to boo Ricky like that, though.
no, and he was. I mean, unlike Bobby Eaton, who was a good singles wrestler, Ricky Morton as a singles. I mean,
He didn't do it for very long
no,
because they get back together pretty quick.
yeah.
And his other, big kind of singles, angle or feud is the one he had with Flair.
Yeah, I mean it's God with him and Flair. That I'm like they're never gonna give him the title. I don't understand.
Well, apparently, according to Ricky, that they pitched it,
yeah, and he didn't want.
and Ricky was going to take the Ronnie Garvin spot.
And then instead they gave the title to Ronnie Garvin. Well, that's
Because Ricky said no. So did Barry.
Why the hell would Ricky say no?
Because he didn't want to win the belt. He didn't want to be Tommy Rich.
Somebody say something about firing up. I'm surprised he's not going to be there at WrestleCon. He may be.
I'm sure he will be coming.
Oh, I'm sure. Folks, if you haven't gone to WrestleCon, go to WrestleCon.com and just read how many at this point, as of this taping, it's a Wednesday when this is airing. How many autograph and picture opportunities have you signed up for?
In terms of pre-orders,
Yes.
and I want to say everybody. Like, it's probably at least 10 that I could do because some people are not offering pre-orders, and it's like you have to make a decision here because Flair, Brett, and Shawn Michaels are all going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Because it just is. So the question becomes, and not to sound morose or anything, it's like which one's going to live the longest? Like maybe I get into the next year. So I think I'm going with Flair here. Right?
Yeah, because he's lucky, to be honest with you.
He's lucky to be alive. He's someone that I never got an opportunity to meet, and someone that I desperately want to meet. And although I do like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart a lot, it's like I may get other opportunities to meet them. I may not get the same opportunity with Flair. Like my guy, I met Dusty. It had to be 4 months before he passed.
Yeah.
Like I was supposed to meet Piper, and I ended up in the hospital, so I can go meet Piper, and he passed away too. So I'm really conscious of that. So it's like Flair, the international guys that don't come to these very often, are top priority over everyone else, and maybe Bob Backlund, but I'm afraid he's gonna make me sail the states backwards or some shit.
Hey, I told one of my coworkers, I said, hey, I'll let Bob Backlund put me in his finishing move if he comes on the show. And my friend said, oh, you're going to let him? Well, that's nice of you. Like, I remember we were at Access, WrestleMania in New Orleans, not this last time, but the 30. He was putting his finishing maneuver on people outside of Access. It was interesting. So,
Terry Funk. Me and Terry Funk had like a 10-minute conversation about how legit crazy Bob Backlund is for no reason. It was an unsolicited conversation about how crazy Bob Backlund is.
And where was this unsolicited conversation?
This was actually at Access when I went,
cool.
and the last time when they had it in Jersey. Terry was one of those guys. Terry and Sean Waltman, they wouldn't leave. Because I don't know if anyone's been to these shows that there's a certain cutoff date and they have to reset and then they bring all brand new guys in. And, it doesn't matter if there's a line there or not. You just miss out. But Terry Funk and Sean Waltman were like, no, we're signing every single one. And they stayed there and signed every single one.
So, if someone's already paid to get, say, Ric Flair's autograph and they cut off the line, What happens?
But this is WWE Access.
Oh, Access. Okay.
So they don't give a shit. You didn't pay for anything. You paid for entry, and that was it.
Okay. So this is not like
WrestleCon.
WrestleCon.
WrestleCon, you pay.
You
They
paid.
usually have a handler of some sort. So there's someone with them. So you don't really pay directly to the person. Some of them take their own money. Like Cornette will take his own money. Right? He don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But everyone else, Jerry Law will take his own money.
Virgil will take his own. Oh, I'm sorry.
No one gives. No one give any money to Virgil at all.
They give him. Hey, Virgil, if you're listening, you be on the podcast. I will buy you dinner at Olive Garden. Just want to say, I'm sure there's an Olive Garden in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, there's like 3.
I'm sure the price is about 100 times more than normal. But
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, 50 times higher. But it'll be fun. But speaking of something that was not fun, the next match, the Halloween Phantom defeated the pretty boy Tom Zink. Singles match, 1 minute and 27 seconds. As a mask guy, we end up finding out who it was. For all the fans who have not watched it or been living under a rock, who was the Halloween Phantom?
Ravishing Rick Rude.
And the great Paul E. Dangerously, or to our younger listeners, Paul Heyman. My name is Paul Heyman. And the lovely Medusa. They were out on the interview stage, on the ramp.
Is this the interview where he kept on calling Sting a scumbag like 13 times that made him really uncomfortable?
Yeah, it was. I was even uncomfortable. I was like, never met the guy, never met Sting. Doesn't seem like a scumbag, but it's just,
it's hearing that, like, because that's, pretty intense for 1991 WCW.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Rude since SummerSlam 90. So he was sitting home waiting for his contract to expire.
Yeah,
which is relevant due to today's landscape of professional wrestlers that may ask for the release, not get it, and then sit home for a year.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on Paul E. Dangerously? I mean, he was a younger, more slimmer version of his current stuff.
Paul was better here than he is today. I know a lot of people like, his role with Brock Lesnar, but imagine, Paul 20 years younger with a group of guys, and they had him on the TV. I mean, I'm happy that they went away with the commentary with him, because I wasn't a big fan of his commentary, especially when you have so many other good commentators and announcers on their TV. And they were really, really short on managers. So to have him as a commentator made no sense. Same thing goes for Misty as well. I don't know why they had her as a backstage interviewer when you literally don't have any managers. Like, you have Teddy Long, who was pretty good, and that's it.
Yeah, Teddy Long's going to be there at WrestleCon too.
He will.
It's going to be a lot of people, but
he's going to be selling Viagra.
Playa. The next match, are you a big fan of the Enforcers, Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko?
That's a hard question.
Larry Zbyszko, he'll talk your ear off.
Yes, if you meet Larry in person, he will literally talk to you for 25 minutes. Doesn't care if he's a line or anything. He will just talk to you forever, right? That's the good thing about Larry. But I think I want to say that I prefer the team of Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton more than Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Not saying they weren't good, and they had good matches with like Steamboat and Douglas.
Yeah.
Like, they had good matches with Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes. So they had good matches. I just think that Arn is still good. Larry's out of his prime here, so. And they gave them the tag team titles. This match was for the tag team titles. Yeah. They were the champions. They defeated the Patriots, Todd Champion, and Firebreaker Chip. Your thoughts on Todd Champion and Firebreaker Chip? So I'm just curious about, Mr. and Mrs. Chip and why they named their son Firebreaker.
I don't know.
You're from that part of the country. What the fuck's a Firebreaker?
I don't know. I could not tell
you.
You
Don't know.
I don't know what the hell what a Firebreaker is. Well,
what was the WCW Secret Forces and who was in the Secret Forces?
It was a secret.
You know, that Todd Champion is not bad. That Firebreaker Trip looks like a fucking stripper. He looks like a proto Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on? I mean, Todd Champion. I mean,
what happened to him? Like, I thought he was somebody like if you put him like the Patriot, maybe you can do something with him.
Yeah.
Like he had a good look. He wasn't that bad of a worker. That Firebreaker Chip is a piece of shit though. But Todd Champion's not bad.
Yeah, it was
like he could have been fake Sting, like fake Surfer Sting.
God. Oh man, what was
why did the Patriots have the tag team title match?
I mean this time in WCW, like you said, there's not much television around it.
It's a mess.
I mean, you can't really do any research. I mean, why did they enforce?
It was there, and I've watched it. I don't remember it. And then I thought they were going to put it up to network because they took everyone's channels down that had like 1991. I mean, fourth quarter 1991 WCW. So I'm like, oh, all right, it's going up on the network. Like they did with the 92 Saturday nights. And it just never ended up on the network.
I'm sure it will end up.
Instead, we got the 92 Superstars for some reason.
And the Thunders, which...
don't watch... Thunder's an interesting show. But like, there's no reason for you to ever watch Thunder. Ever.
It's a terrible show. It's kind of like a clip show. It was terrible.
No, I mean at first it was like a SmackDown, but it got watered down towards the end.
Yeah, I mean I don't want to talk about SmackDown being better than Raw, but that's neither here nor there. But it's damn true. And speaking of, I mean, in the match, the main event, Lex Luger with Harley Race defeated Ron Simmons with the booker of the night, the great American Dream Dusty Rhodes, in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, I was a big Ron Simmons fan. I mean, more so when he was in Doom. Lex Luger, I mean, he killed Miss Elizabeth, but that's neither here nor there. But
allegedly.
I mean, oh yeah, well, I'm not, and he's going to be at WrestleCon, but I'm not going to bring that up.
I'm like, hey, you want to tell us about the time that you murdered Miss Elizabeth?
That'll be the one time he gets, because isn't he currently? I mean, he's severely has a severe disability. I mean, where he's in a wheelchair. So
yeah, but I think he'll still whoop your ass. He'll still put you up in the torture rack.
Yeah, I mean that'd be great great photo ops, right? But anyway, it'd be like, hey, my wife would be like, so why you're in the hospital? Yeah, I got beat up by the total package Lex Luger. So.
Well, can we be honest about this angle, by the way? There's a couple of things I want to point out here because it's real interesting. Number one, they're pushing Ron Simmons real hard, which makes it weird that he loses this match. Because they're like it's almost as bad as Lex Luger not beating Yokozuna, right?
Yeah.
And they tried really hard to make Lex Luger a racist, and they couldn't do it. Because Lex Luger doesn't come off as a racist. He comes off as someone who's just arrogant.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like he couldn't even portray being a racist. Man, because they tried to do like a racially charged angle here, and Harley Race is all about it, and Luger just comes across like I'm just getting inside your head, not I'm a racist. So it's actually, in terms of them pulling this angle off, although WCW is probably just be racist, and Luger is like I'm just going to be Lex, and it kind of saves the angle here, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was never a big Lex fan. I mean, he was better back whenever his early days. I mean,
88 Lex Luger is really good. 89 Lex Luger is pretty good. 90 Lex Luger. This is when he starts to decline.
I thought he was good when he was tagging with Barry, and they were the champions. And then when Barry turned on Lex and Dusty, the Midnight Rider went back to the dressing room, and it was like I thought that part of his career was great, but he just kind of, like you said, I mean, I don't know.
He gets really big towards when we looked at Super Bowl II. He's fucking enormous,
and he likes to use his fingers a lot. He likes to, I think make it into the L. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
but that's weird to me because they're really they're interviewing Ron Simmons. College coach. They're making him the All-American. Like they're really pushing him really, really strong. And for him to come up short here really hurt him.
Yeah. I mean, how long?
Because they don't go back to it. He doesn't have another match with Lex. Because Lex was right into Sting after this.
I mean, how long after that did he win the title?
The next summer.
Yeah. So, I mean, they kind of.
It was a long time. He wasn't doing anything.
I mean, did you like Ron as a tag team or a singles wrestler?
I like this era's Ron. This era's Ron is really good. I mean, it's better than the first incarnation of Farouk. The second incarnation is not that bad. But this is Ron at his peak here, and he will go on. And when you see the reaction of when he actually beats Vader for the belt later on, that place fucking explodes. Like that's the one of the biggest reactions I've ever seen in WCW history.
Yeah, I mean it was.
But why even have the match if Ron's not going to win here?
What's the
why
point?
have the match?
Yeah,
it's like it's weird. Like they even did that. Like you could have Luger fight, Brian Pillman or Van Hammer or somebody, Dustin Rhodes. There's guys here, and this goes to show you like Sting, Steiners, those guys are all in the opening Chamber of Horrors match. So you end up with like Ron here when they're trying to elevate Ron. But this doesn't help elevate Ron. No, like he gets a pinfall on Lex here, but I mean they try to save it that way, but it doesn't help him, especially when he's not winning the belt until the next year.
No, but I mean kind of ending this fun conversation on Halloween Havoc 91. I mean, if you could give it, like they say, a Meltzer rating, a 1 to 10, what would you give this?
2.
Yeah, I'd give it a 1. I mean, it was not good. I mean,
it's not the worst show. I mean, I've seen worse shows.
I've seen worse shows. Yeah, I mean, I've seen
XPW stuff, WCW 2000.
I don't think I've ever seen an XPW show. So.
Oh, we're gonna do one then. Oh, make sure you put the kids to bed.
Why?
Oh, because there's gratuitous nudity in it.
Well, I think we have to end this program. No, I'm gonna have to look that up before I go to bed tonight. But I mean, I give it a 1. I mean, it wasn't bad, but
like your good matches, the matches to watch on their shows, your Austin versus Dustin Rhodes, your Pillman versus Richard Morton, and your Luger Ron Simmons match, because it's actually a pretty good match. And you have Dusty there with the emotion, trying to cheer Ron on, and that's pretty good. But the rest of the stuff, like your Big Joshes and PNUs versus the Creatures and your Johnny B. Badgers or Jimmy Garvins, like they really do hurt the show overall.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was 1991 Dusty booking. It was WCW. But, I mean, once again, I mean, if people are not tired of hearing us talk about retro wrestling, once again on this episode, how can they find your retro video games channel?
Well, you only type in Retro Wrestling Games Presents in the search function in YouTube. Will be the first one that pops up, so make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm stupid. I don't care. Just say something. It helps me out. Thumbs up helps me out. Thumbs down helps me out. You watching the video helps me out. Take a look at it.
Everything helps you out.
Plus, we have great content. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm not one of these guys out there with these hot takes, right? They're garbage, right? With these opinions that are just trying to get attention. Like, no, those guys are all garbage. If you want real wrestling talk from real wrestling fans, you're going to listen to, Retro Wrestling Games Presents. Bottom line.
Yes, that and you know why? Because Alex G said so. But I mean, if you want to follow us, the show on Twitter, we're at the RW Rewind. I mean, like us. I mean, we're having polls up. We're asking, hey, if we could have one thing brought to the show, whether it be the custom Retro Wrestling Rewind magnets, which I have in my hand right now, the merchandise, which we're actually going to be signing a merch deal with a company out of Nashville coming up the next week or so. So we'll be hopefully having those for order. I mean, we'll have a couple at the show, but then they're all they're all custom. So they're fresh off the press. So you may have to order them there. We're gonna have some stickers. We're gonna have some coups. We're gonna have a lot of crap. We're gonna have where the fans can come up and sit down and be on the show and tape their favorite wrestling memory. Kind of just talk to shit with two wrestling fans who love wrestling in the past. So it's going to be fun. But next week we cover.
By the way, if you follow us on Twitter, I will give you Missy Hyatt's unreleased Playboy photos.
You actually have those?
Of course I do.
Hey, you know what? You know what, folks? I have a challenge for you, okay? The person that's listening to us and this follows on Twitter, start a campaign. If whoever can get us to 1,000 Twitter followers by WrestleCon, we'll get those photos from the great Alex G. And you know what? Maybe she'll sign them. No, not really. We never know. I mean, there was a buddy of mine on Twitter tweeted back to Missy and said, "Hey, I bet your Retro Wrestling Rewind would buy you dinner if you were on their podcast. I heard she likes sushi, so we never know. It could be fun." But for the great Alex G, I am, as always, David Fine. Thanks for joining us for episode 21. We are going to be 22 next week, yeah, folks. We're not 21 very long. We're going to be covering Starrcade 1990. That's going to be next week right here on the Retro Wrestling Rewind. We'll see you back here next week.
38 pounds in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Pro.
Andre the Giant.
Gonna get his legs in on the bruiser. Hulk Hogan.
Number one, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
his opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Quand même à aimer des...